Feed me and I'll cure your child. The millionaire didn't believe it until the impossible happened right there. The restaurant was almost empty. Outside, rain tapped gently on the windows. Inside, only one table was occupied. A white man in a navy blue blazer seated across from his son, who sat quietly in a wheelchair. The man's name was Thomas Weller, a real estate millionaire known for his cold demeanor. Across from him, Owen, just 8, fidgeted with the edge of his napkin. His legs, clad in neatly ironed pants, didn't move. They hadn't since the spinal inflammation a year ago. Dozens of doctors, thousands of dollars, no results. Thomas had taken his son out, hoping to lift his spirits. Though he wasn't good at comfort, then the door creaked open. A small, dusty figure stepped in, barefoot, soaking wet from the rain. A girl, maybe 7, dark-skinned, skinny hair and long braids matted from water. Her beige shirt clung to her ribs and her eyes scanned the quiet room till they locked onto the boy. Thomas looked up sharply. "Where's the manager?" The girl didn't flinch. She walked straight to the table, slow but certain. She stopped just beside Owen's wheelchair and whispered, voice but clear, "Feed me and I'll cure your child." Thomas stared at her in disbelief. "What did you just say?" "I'm hungry," she said. "But I can help him. I promise." Thomas let out a cold laugh. "What kind of sick? Who let you in here?" Owen's eyes, however, were wide. He wasn't scared. He was curious. The girl turned to him. "Do your legs tingle sometimes when you sleep?" Owen nodded slowly. She looked at Thomas. "It means the nerves aren't fully dead. They're just silent." "You're a homeless child." Thomas snapped. "Don't play smart." "I had a brother who was in a wheelchair," she said. "We couldn't afford hospitals, but I watched a man treat him with his hands. I remember what he did." "You're not touching my son." She looked down. Her stomach growled loudly. Thomas winced. "I don't want money," she whispered. "Just food, just once." A long silence. Then Owen spoke. "Dad, let her eat." Thomas clenched his jaw. His pride screamed, "No." But something about the girl's eyes unsettled him. They weren't desperate. They were certain. He raised a hand to the waiter. "Get her a plate. Nothing fancy." The girl sat quietly on the floor beside Owen. When the food arrived, mashed potatoes, carrots, chicken, she didn't scarf it. She ate slowly, politely. Her fingers shook slightly with each bite. When the plate was clean, she stood up and asked, "May I show you what he can do?" Thomas folded his arms. "You've eaten. That was the deal." Owen looked up. "Please, Dad." Thomas sighed, leaned back, and gave a stiff nod. "1 minute." The girl knelt in front of Owen's wheelchair. "I'm a mirror," she said softly. "What's your name?" "Owen." She gently rolled up his right pant leg, then pressed her thumbs into a point near the shin slowly, rhythmically, with her small palms firm and focused. "It has to be warm first," she murmured. "Then we ask the foot to wake up." Thomas watched, expression guarded. "Try moving your toes," she said after a minute. Owen tried. Nothing. Thomas raised an eyebrow. "Are we done?" "Wait," she whispered. She adjusted her hands, pressing just beneath the knee this time, massaging in small circular motions, then back down the shin. "Try again." Owen took a breath, focused, then a twitch. It was slight, just the pinky toe, but Thomas saw it, and his heart skipped. Owen gasped. "I felt that. I felt something." "You did?" Amira smiled. Thomas stood slowly, eyes locked on his son's foot. "Move it again." Owen tried. The pinky toe moved again. This time just a bit more. Amira sat back. "It's not a miracle. It's memory. The muscles are waiting to be remembered." Thomas said nothing. His face had gone pale. The room was dead silent. Just the rain tapping outside. Owen looked at a mirror like she was glowing. Thomas looked like the ground had just shifted under him. And the girl. She just wiped her hands on her shirt, stood and whispered, "Thank you for the food." Then turned to leave. Thomas finally found his voice. "Wait, what's your name again?" She paused at the door. "Amra," and then she was gone. The door swung shut behind her. For a few moments, Thomas didn't speak. Neither did Owen. The restaurant remained still, just them, the empty plates and the air heavy with disbelief. Thomas finally broke the silence. She was just a girl. Owen looked at him, but it worked. Thomas sat down slowly. She knew where to press, what to do. No fumbling, no guessing. Owen nodded. "And Dad, I felt it for real. Not in my head." My toes moved. The boy's voice trembled, not from fear, from hope. That night, Thomas didn't sleep. He replayed the moment again and again, the precision of Amir's hands. The way Owen's foot responded, it was small, but undeniable, and no doctor had done that. The next morning, he returned to the restaurant, asked every staff member where the girl had gone. No one had noticed her come in. The cameras were broken from a recent power surge. She had simply appeared and vanished. But Owen kept asking, "Will she come back?" She didn't. Not the next day, not the next week, until the second Saturday. Thomas and Owen were sitting outside a clinic when a familiar voice spoke behind them. "You didn't eat lunch yet, right?" Owen turned. A mirror. She stood there, same shirt, slightly cleaner, her braids tied neatly this time. And in her hand, a crumpled paper bag with bread rolls. Thomas stepped forward. "Where did you go?" "I sleep near the old bridge," she said. "I didn't think you'd look for me." Thomas knelt. "Listen, what you did, we need more of it. I don't care how young you are. I want to know everything you learned." Amamira hesitated, then reached into her pocket. She pulled out a photo, old, folded, nearly torn, of a young boy in a wheelchair with her beside him. "My brother Kimmo, he fell from scaffolding, couldn't walk. We met a man under the 7th Street Viaduct, Mr. Sto. He was a war medic. Had no license anymore, but he taught me. Showed me which muscles forget how to work and how to remind them." Thomas nodded. Slowly. "Is your brother okay now?" "He walks. He works at a warehouse. But Mr. Sato passed away. People stopped coming. I kept doing it with others when I could, but no one ever trusted a little girl to help." Thomas said nothing for a while. Then he reached for his wallet. Amamira stepped back. "I don't want money." He stopped. "Then what do you want?" She looked at Owen. "I want to help him walk." That was the beginning. Every morning Amira came to their home, washed her hands, sat on the living room floor, gently massaged Owen's calves, thighs, lower back. She taught him how to feel pressure again, how to reconnect his brain to forgotten muscles. By the 3rd week, Owen could lift his foot. By the 5th, he could push his leg out a little. Thomas started canceling meetings, sitting beside them, watching every session. It wasn't just therapy, it was trust. Amira never rushed, never promised miracles. But day by day, something sacred returned to the boy's body and heart. One morning, as the sun spilled through the window, Owen stood up. Not for long, just a second or two, but it was enough. Thomas covered his mouth, eyes welling. Amir just smiled and whispered, "Told you." A month later, Thomas took air shopping. New clothes, shoes, a warm jacket. She hesitated at every gift. "You don't have to. You gave me back my son," he said quietly. "You gave him back to himself." Eventually, he offered her a room in their house. She accepted after much convincing. Owen had started calling her coach Amira. The title stuck. Then came the press. A journalist caught wind. Millionaire son walks again thanks to homeless girl. People reached out. Sponsors, schools, therapists wanting to learn from her. But when they asked Amamira what she wanted next, her answer was simple. I want a license so people believe me. Thomas paid for everything. Tutors, courses, a training center built in her name. Years later, a new sign hung outside a sunny white building on Rose Avenue, the Amira Center for Children they gave up on. Inside, dozens of wheelchairs, mats, therapy tables, and a grown-up Amir, still in braids, still humble, now officially certified. And near the entrance, framed in glass, a photo of a girl in a dusty shirt pressing her fingers into a small white boy's leg while his father watched in disbelief. That moment was real. It was the day she asked for food and gave them a future instead.